Today I am getting started by making some homemade date paste. So if you've never heard of the Date Lady, she has a lot of good products that are sweetened with dates only, and it is super convenient to be able to buy her products. But I know that you can make these types of things on your own, and it just kind of depends on if you have the time to do that, whether that makes sense for you or not. But that is something that I feel like I'm able to do. I can make the date paste. It's much cheaper and it's kind of fun, and I guess that also plays a role in it as well. Do you even enjoy cooking? Is that something that you like doing, making things from scratch? Kind of talking about making things from scratch or it being cheaper to make this, it kind of goes along with what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, and is the title of my video about how to help your family. As a homemaker, how can you help your family? Because this is your job, and a lot of people like to not really give credit to homemakers as it being a job, but it is a full-time job, and there's quite a bit of responsibility that comes with being a homemaker, especially a homemaker who is also a mom. Making date paste is one way to be a little bit more frugal and also to provide a healthier sweetener alternative to regular sugar for your family. And so those are just the two first things, being frugal, helping your family by saving money and finding ways to make things cheaper at home. Those are just a couple of ways that you can help your family as a homemaker. Another way that you can help your family as a homemaker is by requiring your kids to have responsibilities in your home. So just a few minutes ago, while I was getting the date paste made or started, I had my two boys working on putting the dishes up out of the dishwasher. Now, they can't put everything up, and some of the things in there I want to put up myself because it's not safe for them, and so I usually will either grab those first, or I'll even tell them, hey, if you don't know where something belongs in here, just leave it, and either I'll help you put it up at the end or I can put it up later. I think it's just so important to make sure that you are giving them responsibility, and even though you're going to get some pushback from them having to do chores or tasks around the house, ultimately you're just preparing them for life. I mean, who goes around without having any responsibility? I mean, that's just very unlikely to grow up and not have any responsibility of taking care of your own home, making money to provide for yourself. It's just not a realistic expectation. And whenever you raise your children with the expectations of when you live in a home, there's work to be done, and whoever is capable can help with the work. I think that is a good thing to instill in your children from as early as possible. I had my oldest 5-year-old helping around 15 months by feeding the dog. I would help him open the dog food canister. He would scoop up the food, pour it in the bowl. That was his job. And then he graduated to helping with the water. And then he began helping with putting away silverware, but now he's doing almost all of the dishes in the dishwasher. He helps fold rags for the kitchen. He can fold some of the clothes. Does he do it perfectly like I would do it? I'm not saying I do everything perfectly. I just mean, does he do it to my standards? No, because he's a child and I'm an adult. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. But he is learning those skills that is going to be so helpful for him in life. And so that's just another way that you can help your family as a homemaker, is to give your children responsibility in your home. Okay, so right now I am making some potato flake sourdough pumpkin cinnamon rolls, and I know people think I'm crazy for making pumpkin stuff in the middle of summer, but these are just so worth it. They are absolutely delicious, and they're not like super strong when it comes to the pumpkin flavor. It's a subtle flavor, but the added pumpkin in there gives such a nice flavor and moisture to these cinnamon rolls. Honestly, I love them even more than my plain cinnamon roll recipe. But if you want to check out the recipe for this, it is on my blog at littletennesseehome.com, and I can link that in the description box below as well, just to make it easier for you to find. These are such a treat for us because they do require a little bit more effort, and so I don't make them all the time. I usually make them for special occasions. I like to make them for people's birthdays, for Christmas, and then just I sprinkle it in here and there throughout the year. Sometimes I really like to double up, and when I make one batch, I'll make a double batch instead of just one, and then I will freeze a pan. It makes it so much easier to be able to have cinnamon rolls whenever you want because they're already baked. I bake them until they are practically done, just need a little bit more, just a few minutes in the oven, and then I will freeze them and then ice them after I reheat them in the oven. They're gonna have to sit out and rise before I can bake them. Now I'm starting on another dough that I used my potato flake starter for. I used my pizza dough recipe to try to make homemade pizza pockets, and while they were good, they were good. They were not the pizza pocket signature style or texture flavor that I was really going for. I will probably be trying these again, but maybe changing up the dough just a little bit because these puffed up a little bit too much. I didn't let them rise for a second time, but this dough just seemed to rise too much for pizza pockets. Our kitchen always seems to be like it's the happening place. Like everyone wants to be in the kitchen, and for the most part I do love that because I never am alone in the kitchen. I think that it's a good environment to encourage people to want to be a part of what's going on in the kitchen. And while there are some times where I ask them to get out, go play, do something else because I really need to focus, or I just need a few minutes to myself, those moments do happen, but I try so hard to include them in different parts of cooking and baking and allowing them to help me make things in the kitchen. And I think that is so important as well, because teaching them the skills that they need to be able to make things from scratch, to make things that are homemade, is an art that I feel like had almost been lost. Some people are really trying to bring that back. People just eat out so much. There's so much fast food and so many things that are already prepackaged and prepared, frozen meals, and I am not saying that any of that is bad at all. I want to just be super clear on that, because we go out to eat at least once a week, because Sundays are usually our days that we pick something to eat, either after morning worship or evening worship, sometimes both. It just depends on what has been going on, whether I've had time to prepare something or not. Occasionally we'll go out to eat in the middle of the week if there's like a deal going on or a coupon, or I tried to get dinner ready, but it's not ready and everybody's starving and it's just easier for us to go somewhere and eat. All of those things happen. But I think that giving them, your children, these skills that they can be successful in making homemade food for their family one day, starting them out, seeing that it is a normal thing to be able to cook and to clean up after your messes as you make them, because let's just face it, I don't think that's a natural thing for children. I don't feel like they naturally want to clean up after they're done with something. And I think that that's something that has to be taught. Them seeing you doing that in your daily life, in your everyday tasks that you are doing, if you are cleaning up as you go, that is going to speak a lot to them as an example, because they learn through example, through people showing them way more than they do words. As they always say, do as I say, not as I do. That is a terrible, terrible way to try to teach people, because what are you going to remember? You're not going to remember what they said. You're going to remember how they acted or what they did by their behavior. It is important to make sure that the things that you want your children to do, that you are also being an example to them by doing it as well. It doesn't take any special tools or special curriculum or a checklist to help your children learn how to be kind, contributing, successful members of society when they grow up. It just takes you taking the time to involve them in everyday tasks and not robbing them of the opportunity to learn about how to do things in your everyday life. So it's really quite simple, although it is difficult sometimes when we want to get things done so quickly in this fast-paced world. We just need to take a minute to slow down and allow our children to learn alongside of us. I made the pizza pockets. I brushed them with some garlic butter. It was just butter with a little bit of garlic powder mixed in. Brushed them. They were really good. We used turkey, pepperoni, homemade pizza sauce, mozzarella cheese on the inside. And while I was waiting on them to cook, I finished making the date paste. And the reason I was wanting to make the date paste today was because I was going to be making some homemade Cliff Bars, which are sweetened with dates. And I thought, well, I'm already going to be getting the blender dirty with these Cliff Bars. I might as well go ahead and make the date paste first. And to be able to make date paste, you really need to soak your dates in hot or almost boiling water for a while to soften them up, to make it easier for them to blend up thoroughly. That's why I waited so long from the morning till now to get it blended up. Then I did add additional sweetener, honey and molasses, along with the dates. There was oats in there. I made these on, it might have been my last video or the video before that. I can't quite remember. On this one, I did ice them this time because my 5-year-old missed having the icing. But I will say that the icing did not want to stay on there after I refrigerated them. So I felt like it was a little bit pointless. And so from now on, I probably won't be making the icing. We'll see. We'll see how badly he wants the icing. I guess you could prepare the icing ahead of time in a little baggie and store it with the bars in the refrigerator, and then just do a quick little squiggle on top right before you give the bar to the kid. That could work, but is it really worth the hassle? I'm not sure that it is. So I scoop all of it out of the blender. Once I have it all mixed well, use the parchment paper to kind of flatten it out. Then I'm going to bake them until they are done. Then I will cut them up into bars and store them in a little container, keep them in the refrigerator. I honestly don't know how long they keep because they go pretty quickly in our house, but I would say probably up to 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. Kind of going back to one of the things we were talking about earlier about how they are children, we are adults. Of course, they're not going to do things the way that we would do them because they don't have the experience that we do. Another way that we can be helpful to our family is to have patience. And oh, do I know that that's so much easier said than done. And how many times I have heard, don't pray for patience, because then you will find yourself in so many situations to practice patience. But I think it is good. It is good to pray for patience and to want to practice patience and think about how your patience is going to benefit your children. I am not at all a model of a patient person. It's so much easier for me to see maybe my husband is losing his patience, and I can say, oh, maybe you need to go take a break, or, have some patience with our kids. It's so much easier for me to say that than to turn around and see it in myself. But having patience is going to change the way that your children respond to you and just the overall culture and environment of your home. Ultimately, whenever we think about patience, just think about how much patience that God has with us. And whenever we think about that, all of the mistakes and things that we have done, that we should be able to have patience with our children who make such smaller and minor mistakes. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe, and I will be making more homemaking videos and videos about potato flake starters. Thank you so much for watching. See you again soon.